Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be going over another one of the unique items. This is a new one that's not coming until the patch on November 7th. So if you haven't seen it yet, well, it doesn't exist yet. This is the Rogue version, which there's actually going to be one for every single class. So stay tuned. I'm going to put out a video for each one. The Writhing Band of Trickery drops only from Varshan. It is available in Eternal Realm and Seasonal Realm, and I'm not entirely sure if it drops in World Tier 3 or... but I know it drops in World Tier 4, so we're going to have to find that out. Obviously, if you want to get your hands on one of these, though, you're going to want to find one in its highest power level that you possibly can, because, well, then you're going to get the best modifiers and effects. This particular one is item power 800, and I can't upgrade it for you because, well, I don't actually have it yet, but I will eventually. Now, this one has resistance to all elements. It also has shadow resistance, and it rolls 5% crit, which is definitely very nice, so that will upgrade to the maximum once you get that upgraded 5 times. It does roll as low as 1.8%, though, so you may have to get a couple of these before you end up with a really nice 5% crit version. It also rolls critical strike damage, which is 14 to 21%, and it rolls 14% damage to crowd-controlled enemies, 10.5 to 7.5%. We also have a pretty massive amount of HP on here, too, which I can imagine once you get it in a higher item power, the HP on this will actually go through the roof. Now, the special effect on this is the Malignant Power. The Malignant Powers that were only available in Season 1. This one is casting a subterfuge skill, leaves behind a decoy trap that continuously taunts and lures enemies. The decoy trap explodes after 3 seconds, dealing 8,143 shadow damage, and can occur every 12 seconds, which basically means you get a free pull-in every 12 seconds as long as you use a subterfuge skill. So what qualifies as a subterfuge skill? Well, let's take a look. So if we go over here and we pull up our skill tree, we can take a look at the subterfuge skills, and that is Dark Shroud, Concealment, Smoke Grenade, and Poison Trap. So these are your main ones that count for this. Now, the interesting thing is that other things can count for this too. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak, and there's some other interesting things. Like, for instance, there's a couple aspects that will drop smoke grenades or stun grenades when you are dashing. You can basically set this up so that, like, for instance, let me pull up one of the dash ones here. I don't know if I have one on me. That's the one where you cast a clone. Let's look for the stun grenades. Of course, I may not have one of them on me right now. I don't actually normally keep them because, well, I didn't know that they were going to be coming out with this Malignant Power. If I did, I probably would have hung on to a couple of them. But there are aspects on the Rogue that actually give you the ability to have additional subterfuge skills casting, which can basically make it automatic, so that you don't actually have to put one of these on your bar to get access to the effect that's on the ring. And honestly, the ring's effect is kind of crazy. It's a free pull-in, so you don't have to have another pull-in. It can also be combined with other pull-ins, like, for instance, if you're currently using the Godslayer's Crown for the free pull-in that comes from the Godslayer's Crown, that one works once every 12 seconds as well, which means that you could potentially have 2 every 12 seconds, which is 1 every 6 seconds, or however you manage to make it work. Now, the pull-ins are extremely valuable, obviously, because once you get a pull-in to occur, you get all the monsters piled up in one place, and it's actually pretty cool. This one in particular, though, with the decoy, not only does it spawn a decoy, which lures enemies in, it also taunts them, and it acts as a secondary source of damage, kind of like negation. So if you think about it, if you're the only thing that's there, and everything is attacking you, well then you're taking 100% of the damage, right? But if you have a decoy that spawns, and the decoy is taunting some of the monsters away from you, pulling them all up on the decoy, then however many monsters that the decoy manages to pull away from you are no longer hitting you in the face. And so now you're taking less damage as well. It's definitely a very fun one. Now, the question remains, though, is will it be good enough to pull one of those juicy offensive ring slots from the rogue? And that's really the question, because the rogue, of course, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total offensive slots, and this will, of course, pull one of those offensive slots away from the rogue. And I'm not really sure. It really depends, in my opinion, whether or not you need a pull-in and you're having trouble getting it any other way. It's also interesting that it's shadow damage that comes from the explosion, because the shadow damage can be scaled on the rogue also, which means that if you are scaling shadow damage, like if you're using the shadow imbuement, maybe you're running the shadow crash or the consuming shadows, this could potentially lead to some nice bonuses as well. Also, if you're running imbuments in general, you may be running things in the Paragon board, like the non-physical damage increase, which of course is also going to help the shadow damage, which is coming from the explosion, which is certainly not terrible. All in all, I think it's a fine addition to the game. I'm not entirely sure how many rogues are going to take advantage of it, but I know for a fact that in Season 1, when I used it, I thought it was kind of broken. And when I mean broken in a good way, not broken in a bad way. The only real downside here is that, unlike in, well, Season 1, where you would just simply socket it into your ring or your amulet, right? Now you actually have to replace an aspect with it, which is going to make it a little bit more of an interesting choice. The flavor text on this says, "The ring shifts and spin on your finger as the forces within desperately attempt to escape." I'm kind of excited to farm these from Varshan. You definitely might want to be saving up your mats today. Today is the 6th, November 6th, so the rings will be coming out tomorrow. So make sure you're saving up your Varshan mats so you can farm yourself some rings. We don't know exactly what the drop rate is yet, so you never know. It might be one of those things that might take a while. Or maybe it'll be like really common and everybody will get one. But with rolls like 1.8% crit, it looks like you could get some really bad ones. So even if you do find one, it might be a really terrible one, and you might have to farm a little bit for it. Anyway, as always, I always appreciate you guys watching my videos, and keep watching.